Doctors are closer to better understanding why some toddlers die unexpectedly while they're sleeping. This is not to be confused, by the way, with SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, which is still a mystery. This new research involves older children who die while they're sleeping. The study reveals the reason could be a seizure. Dr. Jeffrey Goldhagen is the chief of community pediatrics at UF Health and is joining us via Zoom this morning. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Well, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
Doctor, would you explain how can a seizure cause a child to die?
Well, first, it's important to know that the great majority of seizures in children do not result in either death and or any long-term impact. So we're talking about a small percentage, very small percentage of seizures in children. It's not well known. It may be cardiac arrhythmias, it may be apnea or the child stopping breathing. But it's clear that the great majority of seizures do not result in the child's death.
And that is important. We don't want to scare any viewers, for sure, any parents in particular. We
Absolutely.
worry enough about our babies. But
Right.
I think what's interesting about this is when you think about unexplained death, particularly among children who die while they're sleeping, you immediately think that this is SIDS. So it's interesting that this is older children and that they may have a cause. I mean, that said, for parents at home who maybe don't have family history of seizure, are there warning signs that they should be aware of so that they can initiate that conversation with their pediatrician?
Well, there is hereditary impact on seizures. So families that have seizures in particular in the parents should talk to their primary care doctors about the potential risks. I want to go back and just mention for sure that we do know the cause of SIDS in many situations, and that is important for families to know. They should have their baby sleeping on their back, and they should eliminate any bumpers or any pillows or anything in the bed. As for the older children, in looking at the study, it's potentially associated with seizures, but it's unclear whether it's causative. There is some indication that children who have febrile seizures, which are generally benign or almost always benign, some of those children actually had a history of febrile seizures. So that may be an issue that unfolds in the future. Right now, it's not really very clear. But families should talk to their primary care doctors. As far as being able to identify warnings for seizures, generally not. In epilepsy, there are reports people can say they had hallucinations or tingling or that sort of thing. But there's really no way of predicting a seizure disorder in a child unless there is an underlying abnormality like a genetic disorder, or if in fact there is a family history.
You mentioned febrile seizures. Are those seizures then that are brought on typically by a high fever?
Yeah, and 2 to 5% of children have febrile seizures. They're essentially always benign, and it's not only the height of the fever, but how quickly the fever rises. So those are generally benign. But with this study, and interestingly, we learn more all the time in medicine. It does seem that there was a history of febrile seizures in the children more so than in children that have not had this reported incident, which is resulting in death.
Which is why it's also so important that if your baby spikes a high fever, that you have that conversation with a pediatrician. And Dr. Goldhagen, I would never conduct an interview with you about children who die in their sleep without talking about SIDS. You beat me to it, but I do want to reinforce with our viewers at home also. And please remind us again about SIDS because it can be very sudden and it's just devastating to a family. Again, the importance of prevention and what we know about preventing it.
Well, we know that we can decrease the incidence of SIDS dramatically if families put their babies to sleep on their back, what we call back to sleep, eliminate all pillows, bumpers, anything extraneous in the bed. Never sleep with the child, never sleep with your baby, because there are multiple incidences where parents will roll over on the child and suffocate the child. There are beds that can be connected to the side of the bed, infant beds that could be connected to the side of the bed for families that want to have the baby sleeping close. Breastfeeding does seem to be a protective factor as well. So we can dramatically decrease the incidence of SIDS by following these simple procedures. However, there are still children, babies, infants from 1 month to 6 months to a year that do die suddenly, and it's unclear why. It may be related to the same reason we're beginning to understand why toddlers die unexpectedly in their sleep.
Dr. Goldhagen, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Thank you.